So I wanted to come back because I found something very interesting. Chrissy is, and I told you guys about this about Chrissy. While many black men were trying to help Chrissy, I knew Chrissy was anti-black male. So now Chrissy is over here promoting white guys, and here's the thing: our black women don't really care about how the children end up, and women, females like Chrissy are dangerous. Okay, because they pretend to be black. They pretend to be about black. But if you look at a black guy who gets with a white girl and they have a biracial child, okay? The grandchildren of that biracial child, and I'm going to use Diana Ross, I'm going to use Grace Jones, I'm going to use several other black women, Eartha Kitt, whose grandchildren are so confused they believe they're white. See, in Chrissy's sick mentality, she believes that as long as this black woman is happy, so be it. And there's nothing wrong with that part of it. There's nothing wrong with that part of it. But at least be strategic in what you do. At least get a white guy who's going to make sure this child understands that they're black also. At least get a white guy who understands that uh, this woman has to remember her blackness also. I remember when Serena Williams says that she feels like she's Armenian. She doesn't feel like she's black. She feels like an honorary Armenian. Honorary Armenian. See that this is a person losing themselves. But in Chrissy's world, well, as long as she's fondled and adored on the outside, you don't know what those people's relationship is really like. But that's neither here nor there. The point being, she believes black guys don't do none of that. She believes black guys don't make black women happy. She believes, even though she's with a black dude. This is the sick confusion of these people. These people want chaos, and you dudes are gonna have to just understand that they want chaos. Let me read some of these things. So Chrissy's over there promoting this IR thing, this IR. And you know what? To each their own. Be happy. But reading some of these comments is so hilarious. So one girl, Banks, says every day healthy looking, appear to be well taken care of, appear to be well taken care of, like she's a puppy. See, this is what a lot of these black women want. They want to be taken care of as if they're a child, but they want to scream independent at the same time. But I'm glad at least she says appear, because just because a lot of these people, a lot of these dudes are with these women does not necessarily mean that they're stand up black dudes. I mean, we've had white dudes say that there's not a lot of stand up white dudes. In addition to, most of the people who appear in this video that Chrissy put out are not American. See, this is the lie people like Chrissy like to put out. These people are not American. You only got maybe two Americans in there. These people are not American. Yet people like Chrissy want to promote this lie, and it's so hilarious. It's just I don't hate it. I don't hate it. And see, even when you laugh at them, they think that you're trying to bully them. But I no, I'm like, keep it coming. You're just destroying the children. Keep it coming. I mean, and this is why I say to you dudes, stop attacking these women. Laugh at them. They're funny. They're funny. The attacks black women put on the black community is hilarious. You just got to walk away from it. Girl says, I absolutely agree. These black women look just like us, but they're not you. They're not American. Just like us, and they are being loved and desired by masculine men. So these So these wimpy white guys are masculine. Ain't that a trip? If when you look at these guys, it's so funny. If you were to paint them black, the same woman would not call them masculine. This is why I say, man, these women, they just promote this Ku Klux Klan mentality. And stop being mad at it, fellas. Laugh at it for what it is. Laugh at it for what it is. It's a Ku Klux Klan mentality that's in their heads. Let me say, uh, this one girl says, when white men date black women, their philosophy is the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. 90% of white men I've seen with black women are into dark skin, thick lips, and wide noses. This woman don't even realize that she just described a fetish. This is the sickness, fellas. Laugh at it. Don't be mad at it. Laugh at it. It's just funny. It's just funny. Uh Unbothered says, true, I'm light skinned and I dated an Asian and he kept talking about how pretty my dark skin was. You dated an Asian. Now see this is another funny thing about these USA women as opposed to European. They look at a past interracial date as a success story. They ain't even together no more. She said dated past tense. But they try to make it seem like, and I'm gonna say the same thing about some of these black dudes because I gotta be fair. Some of these black dudes, man, they be acting like, okay, you had some relationship with some chick back in 2004 and you still thinking about it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Somebody made a comment a couple of days ago on how a lot of black dudes will still fantasize about non-black women, but because they can't get those women, they'll date black women while still talking about black women. It's very confusing. Very confusing. So I just want you guys to laugh with me because this is just so funny to me. These comments. Um, Another girl, hamster. That's what I've noticed too. They go for the most natural. Because from what I remember, Chrissy saying, if they aren't going to settle for a imitation for their own woman. Hmm, interesting. All right, let me go to some of these other ones. I barely see black men being this affectionate to our women. Oh, so sad. So sad. Joe LaFleur. You know, when to today's 1999, 2000 women believe that everybody should be at their feet. Even when you see them take pictures with their children, they put them children in a disrespectful uh, post in the picture, and stripping around their child and dancing exotic around their kid, and it's just the amount of stuff. And then when women like this say affectionate, they mean pushover. They mean let her do what she want to do, and you just clean up after any insane thing she does. So crazy, so crazy. And talk about she never see black dudes get this affectionate. This is why I say a lot of these women date young boys. They date dudes in their 20s who just want to fuck. And they think those dudes are supposed to be romantic. But in this example, she's talking about older white guys. And that's another funny thing. Older white guys are celebrated amongst the black female community. Have y'all noticed that? Older white guys are celebrated in the black female community, but older black men are hated in the black female community. That's why I say you got to laugh at this stuff. This stuff is funny. Sam I am says they're not pro black. They're just pro. Oh no, they're not even pro black woman. No, they're not, sir. They are pro woman, and it's mostly the white woman. because I've seen black women attack other black women to protect white women. I'm serious. I've seen black women verbally attack other black women in an effort to protect white women. NC worker, I say, I just leave them. Too many insecurities. Yeah, it's best to just drive past them because they're hilarious. That's why I say over here on this channel, don't be mad at these black women. Laugh and remove yourself. Laugh and take your protection away. Because if you stop helping them, everything would be great in the black community. But it's always a black dude trying to help, and then these women turn around and preach anti-black male. Happens every time. Kevin says, I noticed that too. It's weird but sad. It's not sad, brother. It's something that Massa put in her mind, in her great grandmother's mind, and they just passed it down. Let me read some more of these because I want to go back to laughing. Uh, so I noticed that only one of the black women were black American. I'm glad one of these girls, Jasmine Hill, shout out to you. All the other women were from other countries. So maybe it's just us black American women who are little to who are a little slow at catching on to this. Now see here notice what she said. She said it's black women slow to catch on to it. Have you noticed that when black women promote these white men are better videos, and they never put no responsibility on the white guy to step up? Have you guys noticed that there's no responsibility on the white guy to step up? There's no responsibility for the white guy. You got white guys just dating black women back to back to back to back. And what black women don't understand is if he has easy access to money, he don't mind spending it. If he's not afraid of losing a job, he don't mind just spending it. And for people like myself as a black man, once I start making more money and $1,000 didn't really mean much to me, then I can see how white guys spend. You spend $200 on a meal, that's not nothing. Matter of fact, you know, it's and this is why I try to tell black dudes, if more black dudes become managers, they will get that type of money also. But you can't get that type of money just by being a regular worker. Miss Elaine Jones, are you going to come on and speak today? I don't need your face. You just come on, bring your audio, Miss Elaine Jones. This will be a good conversation to have with you. Where's your email? Let me see if I can find your email in here. Yeah, I'm gonna send you a link. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not mad at black women. I find it very funny when they attack other black women. I find it very funny when they attack black women for finding black love. I find it very funny when they call women names like pickaninny, pick me, mammy. These are all Ku Klux Klan terms. These are all white created terms. There's no reason a black woman should be mad at another black woman just for being happy with a black dude. But this is how sick this thing is. And what I try to tell you dudes, don't be mad at them. It's something the plantation has done to their great grandmama. And just keep it moving. Just keep it moving. Don't be upset at this stuff, man. This stuff has been going on for a while. And no matter how much love you show some of these black women, 80% of them, like I said, it's an 80-20 thing. 20% of the black women are cool and they down for brothers, or they just down for what's right. Because some of you dudes need correction. I mean, but in the black male community, we know some of the dudes ain't right. We know some of the dudes are mature. We're a little bit more, we kind of take it on the chin in the black male community better than the black female community. They don't like the responsibility. Hey girl, can you stop picking the same type of man over and over again? Hey girl, if you go and say that to a dude, he said, "Man, I just like big asses." But you keep picking the wrong one, man. I know there's some level of responsibility, but over on the women's side, it's just it's just a weird thing, weird thing. So anyway, let me continue to read some more of these things. Um, I like that these everyday black women are not supermodels. Yeah, dark skinned black women with uh, with wigs, weaves, headscarves, married and thriving. I have nothing negative to say. So let's take that on the chin as black men. Look, look. Because a white man is able to get employment very easy, just because of his white skin. He don't have to have skills. This is why I disagree with you dudes when you talk about all you gotta do is go get a trade. No, no, no. People stick together. So this girl Candy G has a great point. White guys have disposable money coming in. Okay. Black dudes do too much service work. I was talking to a service working black guy the other day, and then I said, "You see, your whole job stuff is shrinking, and you and maybe four of y'all are the only black people doing this. When 3 years ago, y'all used to be all black. Now his manager is an Arab guy, and there was some black woman, a black girl actually, who went to use the bathroom, I guess, without permission. They fired her. You see, people don't understand it's a numbers game. So shout out to dark skin, to a Candy G. She makes a great point. She says, the white guys don't really tease their women about hair. I just think that's the most childish thing that these Edward Andersons of the world do. These Jada Blacks of the way they tease women over hair. That's not an intellectual comment. That's not nothing valid to say. That's uneducated to be talking about somebody's hair. My girl, I never dated a girl with weave. I never dated a girl with weave because every time a woman decided that she wanted to be mine, I would send her to the stylist that I chose. And many times it was a family member. I'm strategic about what I do as a black man. So I would send her to get the hair design that I like to see her in. The hair design that, and see, when women have this, well, I should be able to get what I want and blah, then you're not dressing for your guy. And I'm not dressing for you. I used to go get my hair cut strictly at the barber that she preferred because a couple of times I would just go get my hair cut. And she was like, Sean, I could tell Sean didn't cut that. So I end up only going to Sean. I end up only making my appointments through Sean. Because when you're in a team, man, and this, uh, I think I said this in Elon Jones's chat room. I mean, a comment section. When you're in a team, it's not about individual, independent you no more as a black man. As a black man, I never was into suits and ties. I was a hip hopper just like y'all. But my girl loved Alfani. My girl loved uh, 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 all these different Kenneth Cole, and then hey, she bought me a few shirts. Next thing you know, I start buying the shirts on my own. This is why I say a lot of dudes, when we have comments or videos on YouTube, you could tell a lot of dudes are immature. A lot of dudes want to hate just because they turned on by hating. And being turned on by hate is actually a feminine trait. It's something that I could tell he learned from his mom. Dudes got to get to the point, man, where they're really focused intellectually, and they're focused on advancing on a chessboard. There's no chess moves being made. There's no Japanese go being performed if you dummy down everything. And it's like dudes got to really wake up on that part of it. Just to be fair. Now let me read some other stuff. Black women expanding their options. Oh, don't nobody hate it. Go ahead, expand your options. Make more black. uh, all you're really doing is having more black children. I mean, the one drop rule in Africa still applies. So, you know, I love how all these women are dark skinned, feminine women. Me too. Now, that's one thing. Another thing I'll push back on the guys about these immature dudes try to tease dark skinned girls. I actually prefer dark skinned girls. The blacker, the better. I was looking at this real dark girl the other day. Um, they all got a ring. Yeah, yeah. But you know what? That's another thing about these Chrissy fans. They refuse to acknowledge that black guys are more married. I'm talking about numbers. Talk about numbers. There are more black guys married to black women than white men. Yet these Chrissy fans are praising the small 4%, 8% of white men. And look, these white guys are not even from this country. So it would make you say, if you want what these women are getting that Chrissy's promoting, you should be going over to the other country. Dana, I'll send you a link also, Dana. Because it's good to have a balance, man. You see, here's the thing that makes me laugh, and this is something I wish just dudes didn't do because it's beyond childish. Dudes gotta understand that when you care too much about black women disrespecting you as a black man, trying to bring down your name, they actually win. 20% of the black women don't do that. 20% of the black women are fair. Okay. They like brothers. They love brothers. Focus on those women. You got to stop focusing on these 80%. Because like I said, look, laugh at them. Look at them to get a good chuckle, man. Don't. The only time I focus on these type of people, man, is when I want to laugh. That's what it comes down to. They're also cute. Love that they show off their ring. Now, here's something on this show off the ring thing. There's a lot of black dudes who have put rings on black women. Nobody ever thought we needed to sit up here and overly promote that. But now women are trying to make it seem as if you as a black guy, you got to overly promote these rings. The numbers show that we marry black women way more than we marry Latins, way more than we marry. Yet people get divorced. A couple of the people watching right now are divorced women. Things happen, but that don't mean that people are not uh, available. I kind of feel like, what the plantation has told 80% of black women is that they got to get a black dude that's perfect, but they can get a white man that's okay. They got to get a black dude that's perfect, but they can get a white man that's okay. I'm going to put the link in the chat room because my two female guests are not coming. So if anybody would like to come on and talk, you can do so. I put that in the chat room. But let's read some more of these because again, I find it funny. I saw that video on Twitter and black men were heated. Why do you black dudes even comment? Laugh at it. But I don't think most of the people who quote unquote are heated are black men. I think oh, I'm reading something that's kind of stupid. I think that most of them are young black dudes. This girl says black dudes were calling them mammies. What black man? That has to be a black boy. What what possible mathematical reason would a black boy or a black man call a woman a mammy? Oh, these Ku Klux Klan terms are funny. Tariq Nasheed is a well-known pro-black dude, but never admits to the black man's part in the demise of our country. What is the black man's part? I got to reach out. Explain what part, because where in history is this documented? Um, yeah, that's a crazy claim. Time waits for no one. Yeah, that's very true. Can we talk about the bonnets in the video? Oh man, some of these women don't realize that in these other countries, the people are not black. They're kind of Dutch. They're English. They consider themselves black third and fourth. You know, I don't think black women in America can understand that. Uh, Elon says those relationships are inauthentic and the ring is all it's about. Which relationships are inauthentic? Because if we say one group is inauthentic, then we have to say all groups are inauthentic. Because if we don't have a measuring stick to show which groups are inauthentic, we got to have some measuring stick when we make that claim, because that claim is not a college educated claim. To say that um, black women who are lesbians and marry black women is inauthentic, I don't have no proof of that. If I say black women who marry redheads are unhappy, in no way I can prove that. So that's a claim that cannot be proven. And when we make claims that cannot be proven like that, then we're trying to push a narrative based on our personal experience. I can push a bunch of narratives based on my personal experience, but I don't do that because that's not educated thing to do. We should always, and this is where me and Dana bump heads all the time on what she has come across in her experience and what I quote as documented. You know, you can't say neither person is wrong, but only one of us can have something proven, and that's when somebody can go research. Sam says, I prefer dark skin too, but I love all. Yeah, I prefer dark skinned women. It's just so funny that dark skinned women don't believe it. They they're so hurt by the things that have happened to them in life. They just don't want to admit it. Uh, Notice most of the women were dark skinned and gorgeous. Now I will admit, black men got to do way better at that. Black men have to uh, take a better stance on how we do this color thing. It has to be even. It has to be even. Uh, oh, this is interesting. As a black woman married to a white man, this girl, once you start dating outside your race, you won't go back. And it says proud black conservative. Now, this is what I mean, man, when I say sometimes when they get into this stuff, they take on the other person's life. So, I mean, I'm not gonna knock her. I mean, hey, shout out to her. But black dudes, look, let me take a piss on black dudes for a minute. Black dudes got to stop dressing like young boys. Stop dressing like children. Stop promoting yourself as sloppy. Black dudes have to have some honor about themselves. So I will admit that. Black dudes, like black dudes get real intimidated when I speak, when I articulate, when I pontificate, when I dress. I came in the other day in my office with a sweater vest and a shirt. Uh, and you had people like, oh man, why are you dressed up? Not dressed up. This is my normal thing. This is just Wednesday. What you being dressed up? But that's the part of the game that black guys have to work on better because that is terrible imaging for us. I don't have a problem with our dating. Me either. I barely notice it to be myself. At my job, each person takes a turn working a week inside the plant. I made sure to work next May with the two pay periods. Absolutely. And you know what, Inquisitive Prince? You probably also need to look at the two companies in your area that compete with your company. Look at the two companies in your area that compete with your company and see if there's a management position. Because I try to tell people all the time if you're a driver, if you're this, if you're that, make sure you move into a career. Because if they ever stop doing the driver thing, you'll be stuck. If they ever slow down at that particular company, you'll have to look towards something else. So I tell dudes, get into management, man. Make sure you get into that part of the game so that no matter how old you are, you can still make some moves. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself into nothing like just driver. You want to take that money and open up a driving company. Like, you want to take that money and, flip it over to something. Uh Inquisitive Prince says keeping your mouth shut and being strategic at my job. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the main thing, man. You gotta be strategic. Sam says what's interesting to me is BWs will do what they'll do for other men. No, it's not interesting because they were trained by those men. Those men trained their granddaughters. You can't look. You have to accept that for many women, it's not about the man. It's about her shining. And she'll destroy her children. She'll destroy him. It's about her shining in front of other women. I'm going to upload this one woman. She was so honest in what she said. She made a video saying how she had a good husband, but she fell into that sisterhood mentality. And she was caught. I'm gonna see if I can find it while I talk to y'all and upload it on the channel. She tried to focus on this other stuff. She wouldn't listen to the husband. It was just a lot of pushback on her part. And after he left, and see, it's always like that with a lot of black women. Black women, you can adore a lot of these USA women. They're so into what white people have taught them that it doesn't even make sense sometimes. It's like who's on your team? Who's helping you? Okay, if you're being helped, why all the pushback? It's crazy, man. It's really crazy. But I think what's worse is those women who just want you to take their abuse, and you taking their abuse is a sign that you're down for the black cause. And it's like, hold on, I'm not taking mental abuse. I'm not. No, I'm not doing all that. I met you with three children. I met you with two children. Uh, you act like I owe you something. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of it is so non-appreciative, and it's like Jesus Christ, all the fighting, all the mm-mm, not gonna do that. Sometimes dudes are very peaceful. Sometimes, just like my ex fiance, who I almost married, love that woman dearly, but I can't keep sacrificing what I need to do to make up for your mistakes, and you doing something that we agreed you wasn't going to do. That's just bad on my part, you know. And then I had to come to terms with the fact, well, she doesn't really love me. She loves the opportunity I provide. Let me say it again. She doesn't love me. She loves the opportunity I provide. Somebody stable, somebody with their checks coming. See, a lot of times it isn't about you as the dude, and don't get mad at that. That's all women. It ain't just, I hate when dudes try to promote it as if it's just a black woman thing. It's actually all women. But there's a lot of women who are like, they they're opportunists is what my friend called it, and that's a very good word. And a lot of you dudes are sex opportunists. A lot of you dudes and a lot of white dudes. Let's put the white dudes in the mix. A lot of white dudes don't care for chicks. A lot of white dudes know they can pay their way out of a lot of stuff. A lot of white dudes pretend to care because they got the bankroll to do it. Like I said, when you can spend $300-400 on a woman and not think about it, when it's like a $20 bill to you, and you're just not tripping because you know you got more coming, you will treat a woman differently. When you got these checks coming in, you will treat her way differently. But to the woman, she's not used to that treatment. She's not used to that treatment. Now, what people don't understand, you got two types of white dudes. You got white dudes that are pushovers, and you got white dudes that are aggressive stand up type of dudes. Just because, I tell people all the time, man, and I don't know, maybe the women in the chat will disagree, but all women love to be financially dominated. The problem is a lot of dudes don't understand how to tell a girl no. A lot of dudes don't understand how not to be sloppy. A lot of dudes don't understand how to be strategic. But most women love for you to just be financially dominant. But you got to be financially dominant and tell her and give her directions and be willing to walk away from a great woman if she's not listening. This is something that dudes have not mastered. You got to have that ability. Hey, look, I'm treating you well. Do you feel like you're getting treated well? Yeah, I feel like you treat me well. Okay, so when I say I want the children sleep by 8 o'clock, I mean that. That's our time. And your job as their mom is to make sure they sleep by 8 o'clock. Now, if I have to do that, then I don't want to hear the ramifications of it. If they whine to you, oh, you too dominant, you too aggressive, you too. No, no. I manage the team. Now, We can, once you understand that, we can go back to being lovey dovey and joking and what have you. But dudes got to be able to do that. They got to be able to turn on your manager husband switch. You got to be able to do that. Turn on that switch, because that is part of the problem that women complain about. There's too many dudes who are not producing financially. They're just maintaining, and that can be struggle for a female, right? And then you got the dudes who really don't know how to manage home. They just talk as if they do. That's ridiculous also. So you got that double-edged sword going on. I cannot find this woman's video. I have put it somewhere. Now I can't find her video. I'm gonna have to upload that video once I bump into it again on my darn computer. I'm gonna have to try to make that happen. All right, let's go back to what I was reading. Uh, there's a long history of. Oh, Sam is coming on. Okay, Sam, go ahead, talk to me, man.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on. I don't. What do you like to go by, Mister Research or?
I'm
Sorry.
always Mr. Research. Always Mr. Research.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me on, sir. I was just enjoying your fine commentary, and I thought I'd just come up to maybe bounce some questions off you as you present some of your information. But to be honest with you, this topic, or as far as the whole swirling issue, that used to be kind of a big mystery to me. I think I've pretty much, but I still find it interesting.
Well, you know
Always
what?
find what I find.
It's a very funny thing because when you look back in the history of ancient Africa, the first person to ever swirl was Queen Dido. And Queen Dido of North Africa, Carthage, lost her whole empire over trying to help a white guy in Turkey. And that set the precedent for the stupidity. And then that created the Punic Wars, all because she was trying
Interesting.
to help a white dude who, you know, it's a weird thing though, man. You know, it's this is why I try to tell we as black men, when we have these discussions, we got to have documented discussions. We got to have shout out to O'Shea who made a great point of how uh, I made the statement of how more black men have lyrics about black women, your dark skin, your nose. Bilal is one of my favorite songs, Soul Sister. But there's only 7 black women who've made anything for men in the entirety of music, going all the way back to 1917. So when it comes to the interracial, it's always been there. It's the white man's trick and the white woman's trick because those grandchildren are going to forget they're black. Go
Right.
ahead, sir. You got the microphone.
No, I just look. I guess my position on it is, I understand since the beginning of time. I myself, obviously, if you see me, you could tell I'm a mixture of different people. But I guess what I find very interesting in the American context and the in the context of places where you have descendants of slaves, if you will, for lack of a better term, but especially in America, Black people love to talk about how white people are doing this and that. And it's not that they're totally wrong or anything about that. But what I find interesting, especially with Black women, and I'm surrounded by Black women in my family, but they're very liberal. Everything is more or less the white boogeyman that is causing this and that. But what cracks me up is their first go to as a man or as the preferred man, and clearly who they the same person that they profess to be of their the quote unquote enemy. So I guess I never understand how can you, and maybe that's maybe what it is a love hate relationship that they have with white men, because it's really weird because you'll see black women all day long talk about how bad Donald Trump is, how bad this and that, and they don't get this and that opportunity and the patriarchy. Um, but they'll run directly to white men. I was just watching I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a show called 90 Day Fiance. And
Yep, I've seen it.
actually I just did a video on it, just kind of practicing some content, which I want to go more in depth on it. But anyways, there's a girl on there. Now she lives in the States. She's a descendant of Venezuela, some folks that immigrated from Venezuela. And down in Venezuela, obviously that was a place where some Africans went. So you can see she's got a little bit of African blood in her. But the main thing is she's clearly on this like hardcore liberal feminist stuff, and anti-patriarchy and this, that, and the other. But it's funny because she's swooning over this white South African guy who she talks about herself. And I'm not saying, look, the guy was born where he was born, just like the rest of us. So on some level, we only could help so much. So I'm not trying to put a whole bunch on that dude, but it's funny because she does what I see so many black women do, which is they're fighting this thing, but then they run and profess this crazy love for the
Stop right
same
there.
thing that they claim to be against, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making
Stop
sense.
right there.
Sorry.
Stop right there.
But
No, no, no. It does make sense. I'm gonna unravel it for you. So let's assume, for just the sake of unraveling, let's super simplify. If the black woman was not being helped by white Americans before black men started getting companies. I try to tell black women all the time, when black men started getting companies, which was around 1800, and black men started bringing women into factories around 1900, that's when all of a sudden the white woman realized these chicks are going to pass us up because we're still housewives.
mm,
These chicks are out here making their own pennies. We're still in the situation where the husband, let's get these women. See, I want you to absorb something real quick. When feminism was going on, why didn't the white women pull those black women into their jobs? Did you ever think about that? Why? And this isn't a hate. This is just a historical thing. Why didn't those white women help those black women get secretarial jobs? Why were they screaming feminism, but okay with the girl cleaning her house? See, it wasn't until the girls started getting these factory jobs at Reed's Brooms, which was one of the biggest. It wasn't until the Pullman union, the car union of 1935, 2535, uh, pulled women into their offices, black women, and created the first national economic conference for black women. It wasn't until all that happened where the white woman realized, wait a minute, hold on, I better girl power. Yeah, yeah, girl power. How about that? Well, it wasn't girl power when even right now you got black women being pushed out of the offices, and her own daughter has to fight for warehouse jobs, construction jobs. Ain't no white woman trying to help these black daughters get into these offices. So, with that said, when it comes to your example that you gave about feminism, which is a false reality for black women who were being helped by the black system versus patriarch white guys. Black women really want that patriarch narrative. But again, as I was saying before you came on, black dudes suffer from not making enough money. Black dudes suffer from doing just enough. You should never work a job. You should try to get supervisor, lead, assistant manager. You've been there too long, 3 years, 4 years, and you still just working. Why? That's what separates. So this feminist person you're talking about, they want to have the ability with this guy in her perceived ability of I can kick back and he can take care of it all. And that is more attractive than anything coming out of her mouth. Let me say it again. The ability to say, I can just give head and stay at home and cook. The possibility of that is more attractive than her feminist views. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I would agree, and I think uh, that's why you see sort of what we see in the modern day, where you have so many women trying to use their sexuality to get easy money. You know, there's another YouTuber named DJ Kuda. I don't know if you've been over on his channel, but he talks about how in the current day, um, it is way easier to get a girl to give you some head than to have her bake you a pie. And I 1000% agree with him on that. And um,
Well, let me stop you just a little bit. Let me stop you just a little bit. So
go ahead.
that whole thing really isn't fair, okay? Because what I would say to people like Kuda, yourself, you got to remember the guy's job is to use this human being called woman to his lineage advantage. So it is her nature to be sexual. It is not her nature to bake the pie. You, as the husband, Aramaic, Jewish, the term husband means manager. A lot of guys don't know that. You, as the husband, your job is to teach her how to make the pies that you like the way you like them. Because it doesn't even matter if she comes to you with the inability to bake a pie. That's her parents' fault or parent fault. Now that you're with this person, even as a girlfriend, you need to let your dominance be present at all time. Hey, I like my lemon meringue with this type of product. I don't like it with real lemons. So I need for you to make it blah blah blah. Or why are you here? See, that's the fault of the leader in my estimation. You have to, as a leader, and that's the one thing that the women have on us. You as a leader, you got to be able to come in and tell, hey, this is what I need for you to do. I don't need for you, like I tell my girlfriend, I don't need for you to work 40 hours. Work 30, work 32. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I'm gonna give a little bit of pushback on
Please do.
that, just to keep things interesting. Um, I have been in situations, and specifically talking about the whole pie analogy thing, right? And in reference to you saying you want to teach a woman to do the things that you would like her to do. Well, okay, I'm gonna push back on that by saying I've been in several instances where I've been with women or talking with women. Now these aren't American women, but well, and some of these women I've encountered in America. But in any case, there was no asking for a pie and teaching about a pie. It was merely a pie was being offered to me. And I guess what I'm saying is there seem to be uh,
Culture.
women. there, and I get that. I get that. There, and to be fair, there are things
Traditions.
in our culture where other people would be like, well, you have to tell a man about that. And so to be fair, or in the black community, but I guess what I'm saying is, uh, it's
Too much. Too
I
much.
no, I guess I don't 100%. While I see where you're coming from on that, you want to teach a woman to do the things that you enjoy. Um, I have been around women who make it their duty,
Cultural
because of their own curiosity
traditions.
to, yeah, and I get that, and that's
Because let me
something that
just
we're
interject.
lacking.
Let me just interject real quick while you get your point together. It's that
Yes, sir.
a lot of people have a flag culture. If you're Brazilian, you have a flag culture. If you're Caribbean, Virgin Islands, you have a flag culture. It's nothing for those people for the Virgin. I never met a Virgin Island woman that didn't cook or offer you a plate. It is a flag, and she's darker than most of the Caribbeans. It's a it's a flag culture. And what happened with these United States ADOS people, they were beaten. They don't even know what their flag is. They were beaten severely. All they know is that they're from Brazil. They don't know what part of Brazil. I'm using Brazil as an analogy. They don't know what part of
Right.
Brazil. They don't know if they're north toward the mountain. They don't know if they're Sao Paulo. They don't know if they're country. They don't know. And people laugh at them when they say, "Oh, I'm just from Brazil." Yeah, Brazil where? You know what I'm saying? And that's where
Hmm.
the confusion comes from. So a lot of these women have to be taught by a strong dude. And that's why I tell people call me arrogant, narcissistic. Guess what? Call me all you want to. I'm fully protected. I constantly think protection. I don't have a lot of these conversations in a defeated sense because I am so arrogant. I look at this stuff ahead of time. And it's not I'm arrogant because I want to be dismissive or demonstrative toward people. I got to protect myself. I got to protect my legacy. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I'm gonna bring it back around to the show topic, or no, not the topic, but kind of what we originally started talking about. Um, and sorry, I just woke up, so I just have my coffee. I'm still getting started, but
Life of a baller, I swear.
yeah, nah. You know what's funny? I'm I'm not even balling anymore, but I'm balling for me. You know what I mean? It ain't balling for everybody, but I'm balling for me.
Hey, look, as long
And
as your mind is free and you at peace and you can actually hear the birds leap, jump off of a tree, you're doing good.
yeah, hey, I'm good. I'm content. I'm not as well off as others, but I'm better than some, so I'm content. But I guess I wanted to circle back around kind of to the swirling piece and this and tying some of this in together, which is um you know what's interesting to me too, and I've commented this in the chat room, but what's interesting to me is what some of these black women seem to be capable of, when they find themselves in the presence of, and I say in capital letters, any white man from top to bottom. Now, I could understand some, but the others I really don't. Um, but I guess why I'm bringing that up is because a lot of times we talk about this inability here. They didn't get this. We didn't have that. This happened to us. And all of a sudden, a lot of that stuff seems to magically go away or not matter in the presence of some of these other people, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
you know, I, I'll give a quick analogy real quick. When I was a kid,
Well, before you go to analogy, I do want you
okay,
to
sorry.
consider that it's a $500 thing. These women lose all that because the guy that they're interacting with don't really care about spending $500. It's nothing to him. But go ahead.
Well, I'm saying what I say even applies to the guy who has negative $500, and the woman is taking him around. I have a friend, and actually this is funny. This isn't with a white guy, but I got an Asian friend, and his brother is dating this black girl, and this black girl, I don't know exactly what she does and all this, but she seemed to give off the aura that she had a pretty good job going and she was doing all right for herself. Um, and she seemed to be footing the bill and quite content with it, for everything that they were all doing. And I just found that interesting because I said to myself, this was necessarily the most attractive black woman or anything like that, but uh, I found it interesting what they're capable of and comfortable with doing, for other men, when they wouldn't do a fraction of that for black men, and if they even did or were asked to, they would feel as if it was so beneath them, and that it was just some crazy thing to be asking. You know what I
Because that's
mean?
how Massa trained them. Massa trained them like that. And in the example with the Asian dude who doesn't have the money, black women even do it with broke black dudes. Black women have this thing where they feel like they're going to seek out the type of guy they feel will pay her back. They're going to seek out the type of guy who they feel is going to honor them for helping. So there's that element of it also. But when you're dating, I've seen black women do the same thing for not so. Chrislyn Harrison did it for her husband now, and it's like they'll go get the worst type of person or people who ain't on that $500 tip. They'll ingratiate themselves to that person in the hopes that they'll flip it and be a $500 person and just pay them, pay them, pay them, pay them. Let her shine, so I can show my girlfriend. So at the end of the day, what you're seeing is a plantation thing. Let me show my girlfriends how much control I got over this Asian penis. I'm hoping he remembers when I used to take him and his friends out. I'm hoping he remembers when I. That's all it comes down to. Because I look at YouTubers now who are with Asian guys, they're having cultural clashes because the
Right.
black woman never investigated that he comes from an honor based system. He comes from a system that's about appearances. And her popping off
Right.
her mouth or walking in front of him, that makes him look bad. Now they're having arguments. Go ahead.
No, I would completely agree with you, and I would say, I think while a lot of them won't necessarily admit it, I think, and to be fair, this happens in with other people and with black men as well. I've seen it, but particularly talking about the women right now, I think a lot of times they want to be them just with this man accessory, if you will. And so they aren't invested into that person's culture. And so they don't, a lot of these people, they're looking for and I think in general, sometimes as black people, or maybe I'm just speaking for myself, sometimes we're looking for what we see in other cultures in the family sense. But I think sometimes some people don't understand what they have to do as the individual to make that machine work, if you will. They think that they can just be, a gear that you tape on the side of the machine and everything goes good. But it's like, no, you got to be in there with the rest of those gears to help this thing, move. And I don't know if people fully understand that. But what do you think about that?
That, once again, as I always say on this channel, is a team. It is hard for a woman, 80%, to articulate what a team is because she's looking at it from the standpoint of me. Same thing for a lot of dudes. It's hard for a lot of dudes to articulate what a team is because he didn't think past the sexual part of it. I only get with a woman so I can get more property and open up a Taco Bell. That's the only reason I even need a wife. Now, if love comes with that, great. If not, it's a business arrangement. So we can acquire things quicker and faster. That's that's what it is. Even before kids come into play, it's a business arrangement. And if we divorce and she gets to get a house and a half and I get to get a house and a half, then hey, that was a good team connection. Now, if we happen to do all this, and you know what, this is my best friend. You know what, I'm just mushy for this chick. I'm good. And if I see her, you know what, I'll never go against Q, man. Q got with me when I had my daughter, and he accepted my daughter. I'd never. Then guess what? Now love can grow because we. And that's why I say, don't. That's why I tell all my fans, don't use the word love. Use the word appreciation. Because when you
Yeah,
deeply appreciate Sam I am, you honor him. You don't want to betray him. I my ex fiance, man, there was a couple of times I was around butt naked women. Told my homeboys, oh, I gotta go, man. I gotta go. Oh man, stay. She ain't gonna know, but I'm gonna know. And if she asks me, I'm gonna have to lie to her. Nah, I'm good. I remove myself. I ain't gotta lie. So when I walked away from my ex fiance, I felt good because I did everything I was supposed to do in honor to her, and she couldn't respect it. My ex fiance even set me up with another chick online. And guess what? I was honorable in that too. She told me about it 2, 3 years later. Yeah, me and her talked. You're right. And when she, and we hung out because I just needed some peace because you wasn't about peace. And but no, we ain't kissed, we ain't screwed. And when she invited me back to the no, I'm cool. I just needed to get away. And see, then she had egg on her face about that because she's like, he stood up. Yeah, he went out on on this date, but they just went to a play and they never spoke again. He needed to, but he been asking me to do that. My point in saying that, Sam, is honor, working as a team. A lot of these women don't understand that because when you pick a dude, you got to pick a dude who understands team. What are your thoughts, Sam?
I totally agree with you. And I guess what I would add to that is that I think one of the problems is, and this is why I try not to put too much blame onto just black women and a certain for certain things. I think a lot of it has to do with just we're in this American context. But
Yep.
um,
Yep.
I I yeah, that's I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that have us in a different unique position in this American context because of a certain history, but I think a good chunk of this, not all, but a good chunk of this we could kind of chalk up to the current day American culture. But I guess what I would say is I think when you're living in an age where um women do as well, if not better, than your average man, especially financially. Um, I think the incentive to be a lot of those things uh, for a man kind of goes away. You know what I mean? And I think unfortunately maybe the women don't even realize it, but they're struggling too because It used to be, well, the guy, he looks decent, but he does pretty well financially, and he's a nice person. Um,
That's not respected no
um,
more.
no, no, that's not respected at all. And because that is not um a requirement to get through the current daily life, if you will. And so what it basically comes down to is, um do you look a certain way, that I'm, or basically, am I attracted to you physically, or are you ridiculously better off than me financially? Because those are the only um, incentives I have to consider acting right for a little while. You know what I mean? So
Right,
I
right.
think that's kind of where we're at right now.
But
And
but
I
but her
just, yeah.
requirements are looking at you as she's constantly wet, and are you constantly having your wallet open to any whim that she has?
Right. And I just think that's where we are at the moment. And unfortunately, like, okay, so I'm, how old am I? I'm 34. I'm starting to forget my age, but I'm 34. And
See, grandpa is happening already.
yeah, it's funny, I'm a grandpa without even any kids.
There you
But
go.
but um sometimes for me personally, although for a long time I always thought I would get married and have kids and stuff like that, the more, I was gonna say logically, but the more I analyze the world from my perspective, anyways, sometimes I wonder what is the point of a lot of things in a way, because if it all just pretty much boils, because let me say this, I'm not a particularly handsome man. I'm not an ugly man, but I'm not a handsome man. I'm not a tall
Hey,
man.
hey,
I'm
hey!
not a
I'm a
jawline
ugly
nigga,
dude.
as they say.
I'm an ugly nigga. Ugly dudes unite. Go ahead.
So so yeah, being that I'm not a jawline nigga, um, sometimes I wonder what is the point of a lot of this stuff, especially in the context of if you're trying to be with women, because as I see it, um, I don't particularly care for additional expenses as it is. And um, as much as I love children and all that, I'm almost scared to bring a life into
Okay,
this
so
world.
here it goes. Here it goes.
But
Here it goes. This is why I created Male Wolf, and this is why so many people pick off parts of Male Wolf and go make SYSBM and all this other stuff. Male Wolf, even before Mad Bus Driver started his thing, Male Wolf has always been about stop caring so much, focus on you, and the teammate will bump into you. That's really what it's about. It's about you need to focus on property and creating your business. I have two online businesses. I have to deal with employees. I have to deal with what clears, what don't clear, in addition to my 26-year career job, which ain't a job, it's a career. Now, because of those two things, just those two things, every time I interact with a chick, I'm vetting her based on those two things. It ain't even about kids at that point. It ain't even about none of that. It's about how does she fit in my circle? Because when you start to look at it from that standpoint, you won't be looking at big booties no more. You won't be looking at titties no more. You'll be looking at who fits my 5 year, 10 year plan and who's willing to wear their hair the way I like it. Think about that just for a second. If you change your whole narrative to who fits my 5 year, 10 year plan and is also willing to wear their hair the way I like it, then you're going to start accepting flat chested girls. You're going to start accepting flat booty girls because then it's going to be about strategy. And then that flat booty girl, after she has the baby, grows 36 C's, and you never saw it coming. That flat chested, that flat booty girl has a baby for you, and she gets a big butt, and you never saw it coming. So, see, the problem with us as men is that we're trying to use the woman's philosophy of vision. What do I see right now? You should care less about that. I will ultimately, and this let me give you my plan. I'm going to spend 20, maybe 40,000 on a surrogate kid, my kid. I'm going to go through a company. I'm going to put my sperm into a Harvard graduate, 6'4", 6'6", tallest I can find it. I'm going to pay the company. We're going to make that happen. Baby be born. Mama, see you later. Now, I have my child. There's nobody going to remove me from my kid. Now, any woman I date is coming into a family where I don't need her to have the kid. What are your thoughts on just that part?
Uh, on just that part, I'd say do what works for you. And I think it's a sound plan for the most part. I'm not in favor of surrogacy and things like that in particular.
No problem.
Uh, and it's not a knock on anybody who is. I guess just the way I feel it. I'm of the philosophy of the and not to make it sound bad or anything like that, but
Mhm.
you know, there's some folks that they like to go to the boutique dog store or whatever's the pet shop, and they
Right.
like to get, you know, the dog that they like, and there's nothing wrong with
Here's
that.
the thing. Let me defend it a little bit. The legacy of my child is more important to me than having the kid through her. Because as you
No,
said,
and I totally get that. I guess what I'm
okay,
saying in just a general life philosophy, I feel like there's plenty of children already here and
oh
or
yeah,
coming into the world who aren't
adopted adopted.
wanted. So I'm more in the adoption camp. I guess
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was my long-winded way of saying I'm
That is
just more on the adoption camp.
that's part two. Even if you don't want to do the surrogacy, you can adopt and give that kid your last name. And many people, I mean, half of the last names black guys have is from their plantation owners. So let's be clear about that. You know,
Yeah.
you adopting a kid and saying you're my son Larry, period. That's the same precedent. I'm just doing it in a bloodline way. But my point is, I'm trying to say is, we as men, we have to set the precedent for what we're doing and let that woman come into a situation. And if 5, 6, 10 years later y'all don't work out, what is the main thing she normally takes? Your kid. Now that's not an issue. You get to leave, and my child gets to stay with me because they were my child before you got here. I just think more guys need to put themselves in a position to where, whether you do adoption, surrogacy, or whatever, I just think the strength of the woman's argument is that I had your kid. Therefore, I get to do this to you and your finances. And your kid gets to come out terrible. Remove that
Right.
part of the game. Remove that part. I already got two adopted kids. Okay. I paid, what was adoption? Maybe 5 grand, 10 grand. I paid 5, 10 grand each. Got two adopted kids running around the house, playing in the backyard. They happy. Hey girl, I'm dating you. You can keep your body. You can keep your big booty. You can put an ad in the paper, Sam, looking for a woman that don't want to have kids. So that means your job, sweetheart, is to go to the gym and work out. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, and I think, that's I I think that's a win for everybody. And the older I get, the more appealing something like that is to me, if I even decide to have kids, because I do like kids, and I do like, just being around, just younger people. They give you energy. Not to sound like I'm a 80-year-old person, but I just enjoy, what the youth has to offer, in life, and perspective to older people. So for that reason, I enjoy being around, kids and stuff like that. And I have a little niece that I love and all that stuff. But I totally agree with you in what you're saying, because I think, what what you're saying is basically remove the leverage that these women have over
That's the
you.
male wolf wisdom.
um and that alone. And the funny thing is, if as you understand, or I should say, as I understand life more, um I start to realize, and I guess in the general sense, but specifically maybe in when it comes to employment, or um some of your personal relationships, you want to remove, or not allow someone to have leverage,
Yep.
over you, because unfortunately, and we're all, victims as well as probably guilty, um, in in the sense that people like to use leverage, against other people, and not always
And
for,
these are conversations you need to have on your first two or three dates every time as a joke.
Mhm.
I was talking to my homeboy, Mr. Research Q, man, and we was talking about how some women try to leverage some dudes. And he was telling me a story about what do you think about that, Sarah, Rashida, Tamika? What do you think about that? And let her tell
Mhm.
you what she thinks. See, that's how the vetting happens. We
Mm.
got to see what she would do in those
Mm.
situations. Because, like I said, the flat chested girl might be your better option. Because the 14 big breasted girls all said that they would take the dude through the ringer.
Well, the funny thing is, I will say I will agree with you on, I like my girls slimmer anyways, just because over the years I've realized that if I was gonna have a child with a woman, the best thing to do is to get something a little, skinny, and then just let the baby fill her out, instead of her be filled out and be even more filled out after that.
You
So,
know what?
and that I agree with you.
I regret to this day there was this real, very dark skinned, almost blue, uh, dark skinned girl in high school. She was super flat chested, and nobody would really mess with her. I was the only one who would come and play with her nipples. And just when I see her in the hallway, she'd be laughing. I'd pull them, and and come to find out, she had her first child, shot up to a 40 double D,
Hey,
and
I'm
she
telling you.
she's 46, 47, still got her shape, skinny with
Still
skinny,
fine.
skinny as all outdoors. And that's why I say, man, we as dudes, we have to be more strategic. With the male wolf wisdom, I try to get dudes back to the strategy of being a guy. You got to be strategic. If some you I'm not perfect. Let's keep that clear. I got flaws, okay? But when somebody comes into your circle, have a plan for this chick. Have a plan so you could say to her, sweetheart, I don't need you to work overtime. No, I need for you to sit down with the children and work on math. I'll get the second job, take care of that problem. While you sleeping, I'll go work 3 times at night. We don't need for you to work 40 hours. How about you work 36? How about you work 32? I need for you to do XYZ ZYX. Dudes got to start saying that stuff and stop. Well, she's a grown woman. She could. No, that leads to problems. That's too much thinking. That goes against your average pimp rules. You don't want to give too much time to think. No, no, no. And the same thing for you women out there. Stop getting a guy that is just winging it. Get a dude with some thought. I want to go compete against these Jews. I want to go toe to toe in the boardroom with these Jews. They about to open up a hospital, and I want to get one 15th of the hospital. I want to run the parking lot. Get dudes with some ambition to take over and mentally compete. Stop getting dudes who just, oh, I'm a struggling actor. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Come on, man. Sorry, Sam. I had to get that out.
Nah, you're good. You know what's funny? And to be 100% honest, sometimes I don't know which one of those dudes I am. I'm kind of in the middle where I have been working for years at this and that. I'm college educated. I have a bachelor's degree. But I haven't had the success I thought I would have by now when I was thinking about it when I was younger. And I haven't quite been as successful as others, around me. But I've always kept my eye on the prize, so to speak, and have always been working towards something. Um, uh, and sometimes I don't know if that's all the way appreciated, although I sometimes understand it from looking on the outside. It might appear that I'm not as ambitious as others.
From a woman's
So
standpoint, from a woman's standpoint, you're too dangerous.
and I totally understand that. You know what I mean? I totally understand that. Um, and I think where I struggle sometimes is I'm too safe for the dangerous woman, if that makes sense, or the woman seeking danger, and I'm
Right,
not, and I'm too dangerous for the woman who's seeking safety.
right,
Um,
right.
and so, because of
Good.
that, I
Um,
don't quite fit into either camp, or I can be one or the other temporarily, or enough, to satisfy the thirst of a woman for a little
well,
while.
the problem
But
is, Sam, life is too good for you. You're not.
mhm.
It's that DMX thing. Your belly ain't growling.
And you're right. Yeah, and
And because
the
your
funny
belly,
thing is,
but,
go
but
ahead.
but guess what? Age is going to cure that because they got something called ageism, where once you start hitting 40s, you become unhireable
Mm,
as a man, and you're hitting 40. You're less likely to be hired or accept these lift the box jobs,
right.
and now you're in that zone where, like for me, you need. I didn't even get to finish my college degree. I realized certifications were more important, so I got 5 of them. So people see my resume online and reach out to me and offer me jobs. So you get into that realm. And see, this is why, and I'm defending the women. Yes, I'm defending the women. This is why many
Uh-oh.
women,
Put your cape on.
yeah. This is why many women are looking at why that's too dangerous for me to team up with. You may love his dick, but that's too dangerous because women are in a constant state of fear. That's why women are so successful. They're in a constant state of
Mm,
fear. And they need all these extra things to be able to say, now I feel safe. Now I feel protected.
right.
You feel me? All that stuff we know as men can be easily taken away, but they don't see it like that. They need the appearance of safety. And this is why also women are willing to take a hole type of dude because he offers some sense of safety. It doesn't have to be
Mm.
perfect like that, but it's some sense. You got women who will be with abusive dudes because they offer some sense of safety. But a dude who, eh, I got my place, I got a basic car, you're ideal for a non-black woman because a non-black woman was raised in a culture to where, oh my God, I grew up in Germany. You sound like you're rich. And to an Asian woman who grew up somewhere, oh my God, you got an apartment and a car. You must be a millionaire. But for somebody from urban, a urban white chick with a big booty, you're unsafe.
Mm.
There's no safety
And I
here.
can see that. Now, I would also add that considering and not that all women are bad, but
Mhm.
considering the pickings that are currently available in today's day and age on average,
Mhm.
uh while I aspire for more for myself just because and you know the interesting thing is over the years I've dropped a lot of the materialistic stuff, which I don't know if it's been good or bad for me, but I don't know sometimes because I feel like I live a comfortable life right now. Could be better, but I'm comfortable. I just don't know sometimes if it's worth going through all this extra hassle for the quality of women that's expected to be had on the other side, if that makes sense, you know.
Yeah, but
Uh,
I think the only reason that, and I say this respectfully, the only reason that you're at that conundrum is because you don't have a sword in your hand. You
mm,
haven't killed a dragon in a long time. See, the thing about magnetism is somebody from across the room can see a nonchalant person, which you may be, from a person that freshly killed a dinosaur.
mm,
There's a different thing. You may dress better than the guy who killed the dinosaur. You may have more money than the guy who killed the dinosaur. But damn it, that dude right there just killed the dinosaur. It's what I see a lot of time in Latin culture. You'll see a short, unattractive Latin man with a fine Latina who's taller than him. Why is that? Because it's something about killing dragons.
mm,
He just feels like he kills dragons. Now, once she stops feeling like, it's like the scene from Scarface when they killed the guy who brought them in. Okay, and Al Pacino took his woman on top of that. Okay, there was a sense that he was weak. Yeah, he owned the club. But there was a sense that he was up for the taking. That's why he tried to kill Tony. Why?
mm.
Why would you do that? And this is why black women will look at some of us as black guys and be like, this. Okay, Sam, we got money, but this feels uncertain. Yeah, Sam, we got a nice place. We got two cars, Sam, but this feels Sam. What are we doing here? We're just existing. Now, you
Yeah.
take the same type of Sam with the two cars. Hey, Sharita, uh, we got two cars, so you always got something, just in case something falls apart. What I need for you to do in the morning, I need for you to go ahead and do your exercise, baby. Don't be eating blah 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 because I don't. I want you to stay slim. I like slim. You and when you get home from work, go ahead and relax because the kids are gonna be here by 5, and I need for you. That's what women want, a manager. It seems exhausting, I get it, but that's what they want. And you'll get to a point where you don't have to tell them because you've indoctrinated them with your level of the game. Because all a woman wants to do is say, "Oh, mama, I don't worry about that. Auntie, I don't worry about that. Girl, I don't worry about that. Sam takes care of all that." But can she say
Yeah,
that?
I agree. Yeah, I don't think it could be said about the current version of me, but I could understand and appreciate that that's something that's
Eh,
desired by them for sure.
let me also say, and the current people out here, I would be married right now if I accepted more light skinned girls. And I started doing that last week. I got a girlfriend, but I started accepting the thought of light skinned girls. My
So,
girlfriend is somebody I'm investigating. I'm trying to figure out. I've been narrowed down to dark skinned girls for maybe 4 years, but I'm opening myself up to that. I'm opening myself up to bigger girls. I'm opening myself up to younger girls. I'm opening that thought period up because again, now it's time for me to focus on. I went to Taco Bell school to learn how to run a Taco Bell franchise. I want to own a Taco Bell. So as one of my streams of income, not as the end all of everything. I want to start using this money to diversify, and I don't want to put it on Wall Street. I want to just own things or have percentages in things. But now, if I couple with a chick, we both need to have our paychecks on that level of the game. If not, why am I with her? So I need to start investigating women who are on that level of the game. Go ahead, sir. You got the microphone.
no, that's very interesting that you are looking into the Taco Bell franchise. I think Taco Bell started in my area. I definitely from where the first McDonald's is from. But and it's funny, I've looked into several franchises myself. But yeah, I think you're definitely right about all that. I think one thing I definitely agree on with you and others is that black men, we've got to improve our uh, economic standing, and not only just our economic standing, because I think there's plenty of guys that make uh, good enough money, but I really want to see more black men owning different things. I am on my current life path because I saw people in my family who were just content with having the good government job, if you will. Um, and I really just felt like I didn't understand why we weren't aspiring for more. And not to say that, my family doesn't try to do more on some level. They're into buying property, like to rent houses and stuff. But um, I just wish we would have been a little bit more involved in business so that we weren't always, and government jobs are nice, good and safe, but I just felt like they were too boring and they weren't helping us to make a certain sort of progress as a
Well, well,
family.
well, well. We were in business. We just, and I'm talking strictly black men. We were in
Hmm.
business, but we fell victim to two things. One, we were focused on helping black women so much that we stopped helping our black sons. And when
I
those black
agree.
when those black women came to power, they were willing to help a white woman before they helped their own daughter.
Mm. Well, I definitely agree with you on that because, I even have uncles in my family. It's funny because if one of my female relatives is struggling with something, it's everybody scrambling. Let's put together a plan. Let's get
There you
this and
go.
da 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 da. And then if it's which it's mostly females in my family. Us males are that have hardcore disadvantage. But if it comes to a male, it's kind of like, well, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps and got it. It's always this. It's always this, and I'm not opposed to that. So I don't want to make it sound like, well, no, nobody gave me nothing.
But hold
No,
on. The Indian boy don't go through that. His parents go out of their way to help. The
no,
Latin
no, and that's specifically my point. And I struggled with it a lot in college, and I think part of why my college experience was so bad, is that I was always trying to figure out how do I exist, and mostly in a financial sense in college, while also trying to do a lot of this hard work. And I was constantly, I was never in a like a relaxed state of mind to where I could like sit down, breathe, and think, okay, I'm totally 100% focused on my schoolwork. And because I was always scrambling for this and that, because there wasn't the same type of, people scrambling around to make stuff happen, to me, it just wasn't as good of an experience. But I'm not going to try and say like that the girls didn't have their struggles as well, but it just always cracked me up how, especially the men, like the women, I kind of get it on some level, but even the men, it's like, damn, can you help a brother out? Like, and it's funny because you'll go to them for different things, whether it's jobs, job advice, this or that, and everyone's real like, wow, I don't know, they're real stupid all of a sudden. But if it's for a girl, oh, I know this one, and I was on the phone with that one, and we're gonna
because
work
the
something out and figure
plantation,
it out.
because the
It's like, what the fuck?
plantation, because the plantation told these men, the woman comes first here. I'm going to be raping her tonight. She runs this whole plantation. Go to Mama Sue. When you see pictures of slaves, can I ask you this? Why are the men always laying in the dirt and the dust with a top hat on, but the women are standing on the porch in a regal throne like position?
On the chair, rocking back and forth.
Mm, interesting. Always, the guys are always told back then to lay in the dirt
Mhm.
because that's how the now when you deal with Africa, you got Africans that will leave their kids behind, come to America and talk shit to Sam. Why ain't you taking care of these opportunities? Okay, Sadiq, why ain't you going back to Africa to take care of your family and open up a movie theater? Why are you hiding out here in America for the past 10 years just dating? Why are you running over to Spain, Sadiq, because the Arabs done ran you out of Africa and told you can't be in Libya no more? Why are you up in Spain talking about, oh, we made it, thank God. And now Spain has high crime because you dudes just want to sit there and do dirt. So so these things happen everywhere. But guys, we have to understand that there needs to be some self blah 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 for us. You know what I'm saying? They're really
I,
do.
I just wish more black men, and especially in my personal life and ones that I encounter, would be as willing and open and able to help out a young, willing black man as they seem to be willing to help any black woman. You know what I mean? I agree with a lot of guys who say, a big problem with what's going on is actually more the men than the women,
It is.
because with without the power that these women gain via these men, um, they wouldn't really have any leverage. And I don't want to sound like some guy who thinks, women shouldn't have nothing, but it's yeah. And you know what's funny? I was just thinking the other day, I said, I wouldn't mind if women, I don't mind, people having whatever they have, but I'm tired of hearing people complain about how they're so oppressed and down and out, and they're on the bottom and no and not protected and all this other stuff. But I say, well, you just walk in and you get this job, you get that job. For me, it's not the same thing, you know, and for
But
some
our
stuff, I'm
problem
way
is
more qualified.
we don't promote that. It's not the same. We don't have black male leaders speak on our behalf. I got on Snoop Dogg's ass because I said, look, here's a movie, the Brian Banks movie, about a dude from the LBC and how he got mistreated. This movie only made 3 million. Okay, supported by the NFL, only made 3 million. It was on every NFL advertisement. Black men did not come out in droves. Snoop Dogg didn't champion the movie. So a lot of this has to do with black men promoting things that they should promote as it relates to black male success and image. We have too many young, frustrated dudes as the image of black males. I like to point out how Dipset, the rappers, were the epitome of rappers who wanted to be on. They wanted Jay Z spot. Jay Z was too old, but even after Jay Z left, everything for them dudes crumbled.
Mm.
Dudes, to your point, want to get put on, but don't want to maintain the stuff that's rocking. And it's like you got to come to the table, humble up. I told a couple of rich people that I know, if I'm in the building, if you pull me in the building, I'm in the building. I'm not looking for every penny. I'm not going to tell you what my secret sauce is, but I'm not looking for every penny because that's not important. Being in the building is the only thing that's really important. I'd rather somebody that you know what I can go to Def Jams, have them steal 200,000 from me, and as long as I'm able to walk away even, I'm good. But what about the 200,000? 200,000 ain't important. I got access to their database. The database is worth 2 billion. Did you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We got to
nah, I
be
feel
real
you.
strategic. We got to be real strategic, man. There's so many black dudes I've tried to help. Turn around, they helping chicks. Turn around, they doing stuff. I remember the one dude, man. I talked about this before. His mom's on dialysis. Company done fired him. I still work for the company, but I run my own division. I pulled this dude in and had him working off the books, paying him out of my pocket, paying him good money too. I think he was getting like 400 a week. Guess
Mm.
what? Come to the job, he on the company phone talking to some chick.
Mhm. Do you think? Because I try to analyze this in different ways, looking at the dudes around me, but there's at the same time, I feel like there's this weird animosity that a lot of black men have towards one another, but and also their thirst for pussy um, is at ridiculous levels as well across all age ranges, I might add. And I think that fuels
Pussy
what
is the
we
only
see.
power. Pussy is the only power a lot of these dudes have. They don't have the ability to compete mentally with a white man.
Well, what I'm saying is I know dudes that do well, you know what I mean, financially and stuff like that, but they're still. Let me put it like this
No,
way.
no, no.
I know.
I got your answer. Let me just say, get the bag doesn't mean anything. Just because, okay, let's use tech workers for example. I fully understand what you're saying, but I'm sorry to cut you. But let's use tech
Nah,
work.
go ahead.
A guy that's in tech. I switched over from tech to medical. I started off at Atari. I worked at Microsoft in Bellevue. Washington, and I worked at Mine Spring before Earthlink bought it. I was working right across from Steve, uh, the owner of my of Mine Spring. Question: where have all the tech people gone? Where's all the old tech people? Yeah, they here and there, but where are they? Where's the old IBMs and HP guys? They got aged out. So my point is, of the bag doesn't mean nothing. Just because you make 250,000 as a 20-year old, 24-year old, 28-year old, don't mean you're gonna do that at 40. It don't mean you're gonna do it at 36. A lot of people get money, and then as they get older, they get less money. A lot of tech dudes, using this example, don't even work at some of the major tech companies. They got a repair shop. They drive an Uber. If tech was so great, why is he driving an Uber? Because tech is a facade. There's a lot of stuff that's a facade. And dudes don't understand that. The only thing that really matters is a long term career. I know people who are extras on a movie, $200 a day, $100 a day, and they go from city to city. They make more money than some of the freaking actors over a year because they made a career off being an extra. So my point in saying that is that when you keep saying that some people who got money, yeah, you got money, but you may not be an impact in your own city. The city council don't know who you are. You're not feared by nobody. You're not taking over the cultural center where you live. Nobody really knows your name. You just got money. You just drive by in a BMW. You drive by in a Maserati. But the dude who got less than you, who actually has some power, the city council fears him, or white folks don't want him to finagle that merger from his laptop at home. That's a difference. So there's a lot of dudes who don't have the ability to save their own sons, is what I'm saying, Sam. They make money.
No, and I totally feel you on that. Unfortunately, more than I would like to. Uh, it's funny because my own dad, when he was younger, he did quite well. He had a job with the city where he was doing pretty good, and I don't know what happened because he's kind of secretive. But he doesn't have that job anymore, so he doesn't do as well these days as he's getting older. But um, and because of that, in my own personal life, I guess there wasn't much for him to kind of hand down to me, I guess you could say. But um, back, I wanted to restate my question because I think there was a little bit of a
Okay. Got
miscommunication.
lost the translation.
Um, yeah, yeah. I guess what I was trying to say is that there, and I'm speaking more towards older black men, and I don't know your age exactly, but I'm assuming you're older than I am, respectfully, and but there's a lot of older dudes who are uh they don't have much interest in helping out younger guys, and they're so obsessed with pussy that they'll do anything for these women. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that is causing this sort of that's this I think that's a large part of what's kind of causing some of the problems that we're talking about, as far as black men not being as economically capable or as economically strong, and some of the other things that go on. Because in some instances, and this isn't the case for everybody, but there's by some of our elders, there's we refuse to help men, and we're going to do anything and everything and pull every trick out of our hat to help women, if that makes sense. So I guess I was just asking, what are your thoughts on
I
that?
thought I
Do you
did
agree
answer
with
it,
it?
but let me super
Yeah.
simplify. One of them you're not going to do nothing about, which is the chasing of the sex, because we are plantation damaged.
Okay.
We a Nigerian cares more about his boy than he does about his wife.
Right. And we don't have that at all.
Yeah, because
Just-
we're plantation damaged.
right.
You feel me? Those guys care
Right.
about sex too, but it's the reverse. Okay,
I just
the
feel like it doesn't totally control other men's lives in the way that it does
because
ours
those other men
sometimes.
have a flag.
Right.
They have a flag culture. They have a set of traditions. If you're a black Londoner, if you're a black Scottish guy, if you're a black German, if you're a black Russian guy, and I'm not talking African, I'm talking about black born in Russia, you have a different set of Slavic standards.
Hmm.
You know, a Slavic murderer can get out of jail, and the law will force the woman to give him back the child, his child that she's been watching.
Hmm.
Because fathers have to have the kid at 12 years old. So there are certain standards, certain laws that are in operation. In regards to helping young dudes always try to hurt the people who help them. That's why I gave the example about that dude talking to a chick. Young dudes, when older dudes, you got to understand. I think this is the real problem. I was telling BGS this years ago. Young dudes don't realize they're being helped, and they don't realize that the person that's helping them can lose everything by helping them.
And you know what? I can understand and agree with that. A good chunk of that, and I definitely agree. Not everyone is deserving or worth helping. Let's say, but I've seen plenty of instances where there are guys. Maybe while I support helping everyone, there are guys who really could do a lot more with said help than
Mhm.
others, but help seems to be focused on the
Here's what
lowest of the low or the
here,
worst of the worst,
here's
you
what I
know.
would prefer those guys do: start making public speeches, start making videos, start getting on the microphone. Hey, when we come up to you older dudes and we say, "Hey, look, I'm not like the rest of these young dudes. I know how to keep my mouth closed. I know how to respect who brought me in." That's your key. Most of us older dudes, we just want to know that you understand the company didn't hire you. We did. And no matter how jacked up it seems, you need to use some Italian mob rules. Most young dudes are not honorable. That's really the problem.
And I wouldn't disagree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that, to be honest with you.
When an Italian mob boss brings in Paulie, he might have tried to kill Paulie, right? Paulie says, "You know what?
Right.
Bygones be bygones. We had a misunderstanding. It's over. Done. Let's move on to the next business deal." That's hard for the young black dude to get because a lot of times he wasn't indoctrinated with that. But if I risk pulling you in, I need to get some reward, not have nobody pull me in a meeting. Hey, Sam has been here for 6 months. He got into an argument with the secretary. Oh, Q, I swear I didn't argue with that secretary. What did you do, Sam? No, no. She asked me about blah, blah, blah. And I said, why did you even say that? Why? I mean, I was just having a basic conversation. No, Sam, no. You represent me every time you walk around here.
and you know what? I totally agree with you and feel where you're coming from because I've been burned by friends that I helped got get jobs where I found my ass fired and they're
Yep.
still working. I'm like, what the fuck happened here? But so I totally agree with you on that, and but also too, I'm gonna push back a little bit. And I'm gonna throw a little bit of weight onto the shoulders of the older folks, in the sense that, and I'm saying this because just yesterday, because I'm getting into the appliance repair business myself, and there's a black gentleman I follow, and he was talking about a story that happened to him either yesterday or maybe a couple days before, where he had a young black gentleman who was working for him, who I guess tried to cash some check or something
See,
stupid, or
see,
whatever.
see.
And well, hear me out, hear me out. So, but and this is gonna get to the my main point. But because this gentleman, the man who owned the business, who I follow, because he was the owner of said business, um, he was able to um not get the police involved in all this stuff, and he was able to sit down and work that out with that guy, and maybe that could be a valuable lesson for him in the long run, but not to make it about that per se. The main point I want to make is, while I understand that guys are fearful of losing their position by helping out someone else, I'm saying I wish that more of our older folks had their own things going on. So it wasn't a situation of, well, you're putting me at risk for my job,
That's true.
uh,
That's true.
or whatever. And that's not to knock people, and I understand how things are. But I guess my overall point is, if we had more of our own stuff, or even
True.
attempted to work for our own stuff, what this little guy, whatever little action occurred,
True.
that would be
But
a terrible mark if you work for somebody else, wouldn't be a big deal
but
if
but
this is your own deal.
but
So
when you see it come in the future, you might not like who it's packaged with. It's like I said about the Million Man March when everybody was initially against it. So what that it's Farrakhan? So what?
mhm.
What difference that made? Eve bit into an apple that a snake bought her. I mean, at some point in time, you're gonna have wrappings that are not necessarily perfect for you, or even a gift. You know, so you have to look at it from that standpoint. We uh, number one problem is that we don't financially support the black male hero. So when a black male hero like a Garvey comes into play, where are the dollars to support him? Forget giving him money. Where's the dollars to protect him? Where are the security guards? Where are the marketing? We're not doing that.
Right.
I was against this politician when I was living in Atlanta named Vernon Jones. I spent money, about $4,000, on a campaign against Vernon Jones, just saying how evil he is and how he's using his blackface, but he's not really that dude went to a place where racist white folks lived and treated black people better than he did when he got there. He quadrupled the arrests of black people.
Mm.
And recently, after what has been over 20, no, over 16 years, he said he supports Donald Trump because he's a smart man and blah blah blah. And now the Democrats have turned against him and forced him out of his seat. See this type of stuff. This
Yeah.
type of stuff. We went. If I was to risk my life and my music career and come up and say I'm all about the black sons, how many black men are going to financially support that? I ain't talking about one time. I ain't talking about buying my music. Forget that. How many are going to send me 99 cents every month to make sure I got the marketing to stay afloat? That's where the
Right.
real problem is. We as black slave males, we're talkers, and we got to stop that. Now, here's somebody like Q. I come along and say, hey, be about action, make some stuff change. No, Q, I'm going to go over here and just talk. You make me ashamed that I don't have this. And brother, I'm not trying to shame you. I'm just asking you. You working 3 years in the same location and you're not supervisor? But you let this dude just come over to this country 6 months ago, and 1 year later, he's your boss, and you mad because he hired one of his people? You had every opportunity to change that dynamic. You got the last word, Sam. I'm about to get out of here. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll push back a little bit on your last statement. While I generally agree with you in the sense that we should always be ambitious and trying to move up, I myself found myself working at a place where um, uh, not only did I have uh, the work experience, but I had the educational qualifications as well. And because I wasn't in the inner circle, if you will, as I call it, um, there would be all types of people being promoted into these different positions that had no business being there. So and the only reason I'm saying that is because I won't always blame someone that they haven't advanced on just themselves. There could be other circumstances to that. However, I will say, if you aren't advancing after a certain time, then you need to consider moving on. And if you haven't done one or the other, then yes, that person to me is at fault. But you know, advance or move on. Uh, Otherwise, that's on your shoulders. But hey, I don't have much more to say outside of that. I appreciate you
I
having me on.
appreciate you
This
too,
has
man.
been great. Appreciate all the knowledge you always drop, and I try to catch you whenever I see you on. And
Appreciate that.
uh, hopefully, we'll do it again in the future.
Absolutely. And for everybody, man, the whole point is that we advance, kind of like what Sam is saying. We can blame women all we want to. We can blame white folks all we want to. But really, if 4,000 black men would just commit to putting in $100 a year to anything, they can control a whole industry. But you
And
gotta
you know what?
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just got
Go
got
ahead. You got
enthusiastic about what you
inspired.
just
You got
said.
inspired.
Because you know what, because as a numbers, I'm always thinking about numbers, crunching numbers. And what bothers me so much is, because I've dabbled in trucking and other types of things of that like that, as well as retail sales and stuff like that. And what really irritates me sometimes, and especially sometimes when I'm in these spaces, is I hear a lot of people saying, we should work together for A, B, and C, X, Y, Z. And sometimes I see some of the money flowing around, and I'm not trying to count anybody's pockets.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I say, if we could have, even just the small number of brothers we have around here, and we all put up, not necessarily a crazy amount, but like you said, $100 or whatever towards this or that. I say, that could be a big chunk of change for even just a small group of brothers to get something that could potentially be big going on. But it hurts me that I see we can't even do that for whatever reason. But that's all.
Everybody, everybody loves the hustle part of it. Like I said, YouTube is not a business. It's a hustle with a loophole. And and people don't understand is that there's no difference between this and Facebook Live. No difference. And Facebook Live has blown up even better than YouTube for dollars and what have you. This is a hustle. If they was to shut down YouTube tomorrow, then what? Most people can't transfer their fan base over to another platform. Tommy has tried to do that twice and failed. So a lot of this stuff is the small knit of people who enjoy whatever it is that is happening. Now, as far as power, or what you and I are talking about, you can't translate talking to power. You can only, power is all about dollars. If you and I get a person to sit down at at Congress every morning, we pay for their apartment, we pay for their pass to get in and out. They will go and tackle the agenda of Q and Sam every day. They make sure bills that deal with our business and our sons are passed. Black men can do the same thing. We just don't want to contribute no dollars. And we want to bring along the dudes who want to cause violence all the time. You look at Taz and Nyla. Taz and Nyla exposed as scammers. The people who were dealing with them realized, wait a minute, what are y'all doing? Y'all doing this for profit? Yep. And now,
You could
what's
get me
that?
started on a whole other show on that, but
Right, right.
go on.
We got 2 years of people being entertained by talented blacks, only to see that they just wasting our time and stealing money to do nothing. So when you talk about that, I can go create something tomorrow. It don't matter. Half the people who say they want it are not going to find that. The first thing they're going to tell me, now watch this. I can go create a string of movie theaters, right? We only want black movies. Okay. If you come out and financially support every week, like the white folks do, then we'll put nothing but black movies. But since white people come out every week as a family thing to do, you have to put that in there too. So now, as far as working it together, Sam, you're dealing with people that don't understand a business narrative. They got the money to contribute, but now they don't want to go like you went to college, go back to school and learn basic business. So now you got to spend 4 months just educating them on what they don't know. What do you mean margins? What the hell is that? Oh my God. Uh, Alvin, we're going to have to give you your 280,000 back because this is just taking too long.
Yeah, I, you're not
Like I,
wrong.
like I said, Sam, once you become a a McDonald's assistant manager, you will be more powerful as a black man because you'll know how to move numbers and people on the lowest level. And a lot of the black man's opinions will go away because he'll understand. Nah, I can't apply that. Nah, I remember I had to get a chick on fries. I recognized she couldn't do that. I gave her a mop and say, "This is your position from now on." Once you start having to manage people and make sure money matches up as a black man, you'll never have an opinion. Everything will have to be mathematical.
Hmm. I'm with you on that.
All right, gang, got to get out of here. You
Hmm.
take care, sir. God
All
bless.
right, thank you, Mr. Research. You do the same. It's been a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Peace.